Hello, I'm Charles Abels, local photographer in and around Prescott Valley, Arizona. Welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this presentation. The Argus C3, aka the Brick, is a phenomenal camera. I was very much impressed with this camera. I was lucky that I had found it at the Goodwill store, our local Goodwill store, for only $14.49. And it's a shooter. The case is in remarkable good shape. The only thing that I had to do with the case is on the back right here. I had to install the stamp back here, or the snap, so that way I can completely shut the top over it to help protect the camera. In the past, I used to tool leather, so it just so happened that I had a snap setter and some snaps from the days of old. Two things that you have to always remember when working with the Argus C3. You have this knob right here. I don't know as you can see it, but this knob right here is the film release knob. As you advance the film, you have to remember to press it down as you advance the film. Turn the film advance just a quarter of a turn, release this, and then continue to advance the film until it stops. That was one thing that I had a problem with, is remembering that. Admittingly, during the course of the photo shoot, there were moments where I was trying to remember, did I advance the film? Sometimes I sight on the error and just advance it anyway. And that's why some of the, on the reel, after I develop it, there were blank spots in there. Another thing to consider is, once you advance this film, you have the shuttercock right here. There's a little knob in the front, and you have a shuttercock. Now, I don't know if you could hear this. You cock the shutter. Here's the shutter release up here. You have to remember to keep your finger away from there. A couple of times I found that when I released the shuttercock here would hit. And I don't necessarily know if it kept the shutter open a little longer than I wanted, but nevertheless, you need to keep your finger out of the way. You need to come up with a way, and then aim in, and then when you're ready to shoot, shoot. I frankly don't know, now that I'm thinking about it, I frankly don't know if I could pop that off of there and kind of realign that. I don't know, I'll give that some thought. But that was a big problem for me too. Nevertheless, having said that, as a inexpensive as an inexpensive rangefinder camera, this is a remarkably great camera. Between the camera and the roll of film that I had purchased, the cost to shoot this, just over $19. I believe it was $19.23. The roll of film with taxes and the goodwill at $14.49. Fairly inexpensive. The only issue is if you were to shoot frugally, you have to also consider the cost of developing the film. Now for me, I developed my film with Caffeinol. Doesn't hurt to learn a little bit about Caffeinol. It's clear that the recipe that I use, Caffeinol CM, worked well for this Arista 100. So I'm quite satisfied, I'm quite pleased. The cost is negotiable there. I can't tell you how much it costs to make a batch of developer using instant coffee, Arm & Hammer washing soda, and vitamin C powder. I don't know. I never broke it down to find out about that. But nevertheless, it is probably way considerably cheaper than sending your roll of film out and paying, say, depending on who you send it out to. And I might even put some links down below of a couple of places where you could send film to have developed. But on average, I would say 25 bucks a roll, and that's to get it developed, get your negatives back, and get the scan after they scan it back to you. You don't need to have them print it. So that is the issue right there, is the cost on developing your roll of film, in addition to the time. The photographs that you've seen there were taken yesterday morning, early. I had the film developed, scanned, all before 8 o'clock last night. And so for me, I could get my roll of film back in really less than 24 hours. I would suggest that if you are already a frugal shooter, shooting with as cheap of a camera as possible and a roll of film, I would suggest you visit the Facebook page, Frugal Film Project 23. Click it. You'll have to join in order to see the photographs. But hey, if you're already doing it, why don't you go ahead and join this group on Facebook? It's a phenomenally informative group and a fun group, really, I found. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe down below. I will probably, more than likely, continue to do short, hopefully a little much more shorter presentations on the photographs that I take for the group, Frugal Film Project 23, to share with you. Hopefully inspire you to look into that. It's not impossible to go out there and find inexpensive cameras, inexpensive film. If there were any concern, I would say the concern would be the developing cost if you were to send it out. Otherwise, you would save considerably by developing your own film and then scanning it. So, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe down below. And I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Until next time.